The stock market, you hear about it all the time. It's this world of crazy charts, big numbers, and dramatic headlines. But behind all that complexity, there's a journey that's actually pretty straightforward. So today, we're going to follow the life of one single share, from the moment it's created to its daily life out on the market. Let's get into it.
Right? You see it constantly in the news. Some big, popular company announces it's having an IPO, and all of a sudden, everyone is talking about its stock. But how does that actually happen? How does a private company make that huge leap and get its shares into the hands of regular investors all over the world? Well, that is the exact story we are going to unpack today.
Okay, so to really understand this whole journey, you've got to know that the stock market is basically two different places at the same time. Think of it like this. The primary market, that's the factory. It's where a company creates and sells its shares for the very first time. And the secondary market, well, that's the supermarket, where all those shares are then bought and sold over and over and over again between all of us investors.
So let's start right at the beginning inside that factory. This is the birthplace of every single public share, the IPO. An IPO, or initial public offering, is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the company's big debut on the public stage. They're basically throwing open their doors and saying, hey everyone, for the first time ever, you can own a piece of our company. And why do they do this? The main goal is to raise a whole lot of money, capital, to fund their big plans for growth and expansion. Now, as you can probably guess, going public isn't as simple as just flipping a switch. Oh no, it is a very carefully planned process. First, the company gets a partner, an investment bank, to manage the whole thing. Then comes this super important document called the prospectus. It's basically a massive report card on the company's business, its finances, and all the risks involved. After they figure out a price for the new shares, the final step is to get them listed on a big stock exchange, making them available for literally anyone to trade. And this whole process, as you know, can create some huge headlines. I bet you've heard of some of these. I mean, Facebook's massive IPO back in 2012, or Alibaba's record-shattering one in 2014. And more recently, you had companies like Uber, Snowflake, and Airbnb all go through this exact same journey, transforming themselves from private companies into these publicly traded giants. Okay, so the share is born. It exists, but now what? Its journey now takes it out of the factory and into that bustling public square we talked about. Life on the stock exchange. It's kind of hard to imagine now, but trading used to be a very physical, very loud affair. Seriously, just picture a trading floor crammed with brokers, all shouting orders, using these crazy hand signals, and haggling over prices in what looked like chaos, but was actually a pretty organized dance. You had to be there, in person. But that old world, yeah, it's pretty much gone. The real game changer was when the National Stock Exchange launched in 1994. It introduced fully automated, screen-based trading to India. All of a sudden, the market became way faster, way more efficient, and so much more transparent. The trading floor was basically replaced by a huge network of computers. So this whole digital world really runs because of three main players. First, you have the stock exchanges themselves, like the NSE and the Bombay Stock Exchange. They're the actual marketplaces. Then you've got the stockbrokers. They're the official middlemen who place your buy and sell orders for you. And finally, you have depository services, which are kind of like a digital bank vault for your shares, holding them all safely in electronic form. And this entire digital system was only possible because of a huge change back in 1996 called dematerialization. It's a fancy word, but it just means turning those old paper share certificates into electronic data. This one move got rid of tons of physical paperwork, cut down on fraud, and made buying and selling shares almost instantaneous. A total revolution. Now, whenever you have billions of dollars and millions of investors all in the same game, you absolutely need a referee to make sure everyone is playing fair. And that brings us to the rules of the game and the folks who enforce them. Here in India, that referee is SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India. It was set up back in 1992. And its main mission has always been two things: protect investors, people like you and me, and make sure the market can grow in a healthy, organized way. So what does SEBI actually do all day? Well, in short, they write the rulebook for the entire market. They're the ones fighting against illegal stuff like insider trading. They oversee huge company takeovers to keep things fair, and they double-check those IPO documents to make sure everything's accurate.
From setting the rules for mutual funds to protecting small investors, their job is to keep trust and transparency in the whole system.
So we've seen how the market works today, but how do we even get here? Let's do a really quick look back at the key moments that built the modern Indian stock market. Believe it or not, this whole story started way back in the 1850s with just a few brokers in Bombay. By 1887, they got organized into a proper association. But the real transformation, the one that created the market we recognize today, that all happened in the 90s. In 1994, the NSE launched electronic trading, which changed everything. And then just 2 years later, in 1996, dematerialization started, moving the entire system from paper to pixels. So, when you really step back and look at it, the journey of a single share has gone from being a physical piece of paper passed between hands in a loud, crowded room to a digital signal that flashes across the entire globe in milliseconds. It's an absolutely incredible transformation. Which really just leaves one final question for you. What's the next big leap going to be?